So as you move through this week, knowing that you are the river, knowing that you are always flowing, knowing that when you stop and get stuck and step back and say, no, wait a minute, something's wrong here, I've got to figure it out. You've stepped out of the river. When you try to stop life or what's happening, you're trying to stop the river. Your job is to stay in the flow, trust that whatever's good, and if you don't know what to do with it, stop. Do what we did in the meditation this morning. When you stop and go within, you're not stopping the river. You're resting into the current. You're trusting that it's already flowing. What we do so often is we don't like what's happening. We see there's some rapids or something rough off ahead. We paddle to the shore, get off, and walk around in the woods trying to figure out what to do next. Right? And a lot of us have spent a lot of our life doing that. A lot of our life doing that. So this week, I want you to trust that if it's present, it's God. If it feels powerful, it's God. If it's pushing you outside your comfort zone, there's some power there, right? If it's pushing your buttons and it's making you go like this, there's power there. It's present. It's God. So when those people show up in your life and they push your button, thank them. They are God. And it's not about fixing them. It's about focusing on the energy that they're bringing up in you, staying with it long enough to figure out where is it guiding you to go? Where is the energy wanting to flow? Where does it feel good? Where does it feel lighter? Where does it feel more wave than particle? Less dense, more freeing. It brings me to one of my favorite sayings. This is a 12-step saying, and the 12 steps are so filled with really powerful learnings. And I call it the 3 A's. It's not the Auto Club, but it's as helpful if you're in trouble. You get stranded on the sidewalk, everything stops working. It's awareness, acceptance, and action. And it fits in with the river flowing, this idea of particle wave, because what most of us do, including myself, is we have an awareness of something that we don't really want to look at, often about ourselves or about something else. And then we immediately want to go to action to avoid the feeling that it's bringing up. When we immediately go to action, it's really not action, it's reaction, because we're reacting against what's happening. And we immediately go into particle. We're in thermodynamics, wanting to fix. You'll get the tape. I don't know if it's hard for me to go back.
Okay.
Will you repeat that? No.
Yes.
It'll be on the tape if you watch the video. Acceptance is the big capital A in the middle. Awareness, acceptance, and action. And when you can spend some time in acceptance, that may be the only action you need to do. And if it's not, you'll be guided to what your next action will be. And it's always a response rather than a reaction. A response comes from a place of centered groundedness and a powerful confidence. And it always has to do with the best for all concerned. It's never a fighting against someone or I prove this, I'm right and you're wrong. It's not a place of duality. It's a place of balance and moving forward. So awareness, acceptance, action. Real powerful trio. Is that what you wanted me to repeat? Yeah. So those are the 3 A's.
Yeah.
Awareness is a relationship, and acceptance is holistic. So awareness is being willing to be in that relationship, really listening to what life is telling you. Really listening. Awareness takes time. We're all in a process of awakening. We talk about this on the way up as well. We're all in the process of awakening. And the process of awakening is looking at those misconceptions we have and being aware suddenly of those subconscious things that have been running us, and they become conscious. And as they become conscious, they trigger the feeling that we've avoided, which is why we've stuck them into the subconscious. So what do we need to do? Feel the feeling. Feel the feeling. Can you go to your feelings without judgment? There's an awful lot of things that we call feelings that aren't feelings. You know what those are? Those are the denser emotions. Those are not the elevated emotions. Regret, blame, guilt, shame. Regret is a sadness or an anger or a grief that is based in the story that shouldn't have happened. Something was wrong. So you're totally impartial. You're trying to fight against the creation that's already happened. Right? It's happened. That's what's there. It brought you to this place. Trust that anything you've been through is fertilizer. Your past is fertilizer. Plant your seeds now. That's how you become the river. That's how you get in the flow. Hold to your intention. Plant the seeds that you want. You know, I've spent a lot of time, I'm working on this play now. And I went into what I was calling, the story was calling, Oh, I'm in Writer's Block. And thank God for the round table that I work with, that my sister, you know, is the head of and helps us, because we get together each week. And even if you haven't written anything that week, you have your time to talk about what's blocking you, what's really going on. And for me, it was I was moving into a place or a scene in this play that's it's a memory play, a memoir play, where I'm going back and, you know, reframing my childhood. And it was a very painful event that happened where I made a very clear, painful choice that I've regretted for years and years and years, because I realized that it was a choice of who I was and how I was going to show up. And I finally got to the moment when I made that choice, and I had a realization of why I made it. And that it was from a very powerful place in my heart, and it was a choice that a 12-year-old boy would make at that point, from a place of compassion and the situation that it was in. And as I finally got to that place and realized why I made this decision, I had this huge release. I sobbed for 20 minutes. And it was a healing opening. So that energetic pattern had been stuck there for I don't know how many years. And once it released, my life began to show up differently. Certain events happened, buttons got pushed again, but I knew enough now, okay, I'm not going to go there and blame, but I'm going to switch, and I was able to show up in a totally different way. Not fighting, not surrendering, but speaking my truth from a place of loving center. And it was quite powerful, quite powerful, and something in me had shifted. We all have things in us that we're holding on to. As they come to our conscious awareness, and we can accept that everything in our past, we always are doing the best we can with the information that we have. When we know better, and when we feel better, we do better. So to trust that and be in that is being in the river. If you don't know what to do, don't do it. Because the river's always flowing. We learn that in our meditation. That's why I really invite you to meditate. That's where we strengthen that powerful tributary that is connected to that divine source. When we go into our meditation, we go into the wave. We move out of the particle. We connect with the source. We move into those elevated emotions. That's why when you're feeling a negative, some of those deeper, denser emotions, best remedy is to sit and be with it. Sit and be with it. Emotions are energy in motion. So they're moving. Be with that feeling and detach it from the story. What's the feeling? What's the story? Oh, I'm feeling regret. Oh yeah, regret isn't just the feeling. I'm feeling sad. And the sadness is based on that thing that happened back then. So just be with it without judgment. It's a practice. And that's what letting the river flow means. It means trusting that we're not destination consciousness. We are journey consciousness. We are flowing. In this time and space human body, it's a flow. It's a movement. It's always new. It's always fresh. Remember that when you wake up in the morning. Can you wake up this week and say, this is a brand new day with infinite possibilities. The past is over. It's all fertilizer. What seeds am I going to plant in this here and now moment? Any vision you have, this is the starting point. And so plant those seeds that you want to create. And as you're moving into that change, that new you, that new vision, as you're consciously letting go of the old, releasing from the particle self, releasing from the creation, and owning that you are the creator, I'm going to give you a little tool, if I can find it. I always write way too many notes. Here we go. As you move forward on your river of change, there's another little helpful tool. This is something to help you to be in your own energy, trust your space, and maybe cut off some of those tributaries that are no longer working for you, so you can begin to get all your energy moving to that grand vision, or what I call the grand intention. So it's a helpful tool, something to put on your answering machine or on your cell. I'm not available right now. Thank you for caring enough to call. I'm making some changes in my life. Please leave a message. If I don't call you back, you're one of the changes.
But you could say that to a thought as well, that you want to let go of. I mean, you could use it metaphorically instead of saying it to people.
And I think beyond the laugh line and the joke, that's the truth of that statement. Absolutely. And that's what awareness, acceptance, action means. It means looking at what's there and choice. We talked about the power of choice, which is the power of free will. God gave us free will. We can choose to be stuck. We can choose to get out of the river and run off into the forest and get lost for 2 or 3 days. We can choose to turn around at our creation, which is already there. You shouldn't be happening. I want you to change. Why are you still like that? We have free will. Or we can turn around and say, God is in me. One power, one presence. I am that one power and one presence. I am God the good, omnipotent, with access to that quantum field of infinite possibilities. Just that statement and opening to it, for me, I think of all the miraculous things that have happened in my life. I think of the miraculous things I've heard about. I think of Emmanuel, who I ran into in a Korean restaurant, who worked on my mother for 6 weeks, and her cancer numbers, which had been going up steadily for 4 years, dropped in half in 6 weeks. Her doctor walked in when we went for her test results and said, "What have you been doing?" And she kind of sheepishly said, "Oh, well, I've been seeing this healer that my son found," and kind of looked at me like my kooky, little son. And he said, "Well, keep it up. Your numbers have dropped in half." So there are miracles that the collective conscious doesn't recognize or acknowledge, but we all know that they are true. It's the quantum field. It's where we're moving. It's where we're heading. So my teaching this week is let the river flow. Let the river flow. Trust that you are part of it and make your choices. Create that grand vision. And if you're stuck in something, stop and ask yourself, am I in my grand vision, or am I trying to fix what's already out there? Am I tuned into what my greatest joy is? And if you're not sure what that is, spend some time this week. There's only one thing that keeps you from moving to your grandest vision and having the most exciting, joyful life that you can. And it's that you don't think you have enough time to focus on what it is you really want. Give yourself the time. You know, there is no reality in lack. We said at the beginning. And lack is not just not enough money. For most of us, it starts with that time thing. We think there's not enough time. Give that time to yourself and watch how it grows. Plant some seeds of time in your life by stopping in those moments in your life when you think, the last thing I have time to do is stop right now. Stop. And do the Miracle in 3 breaths. It's on my website. It's just a really creative way of taking 3 conscious breaths and pulling yourself into balance with that river. And then you ask yourself, after you've taken a moment to be in that, what's next? What's mine to do in this moment? We always only have one thing to do, and that's to choose what's next. What feels right for me right now. And in doing that, guess what? And really honoring what feels right and going into your truth, you're planting a seed. Truth. I want to live in truth. I want to live in balance. And those seeds or those tributaries keep joining who you are. Okay, so it's time to take our love offerings into our hands, and we're going to do something special with them today. Now, what we've been talking about, as you hold that love offering in your hand, put the energy of that grand vision, of surrendering into that flowing river that is you. Trust and know that energy that you're putting in is not just one seed, it's a handful. I see chia seeds, those chia pets, all these new ideas growing. And as you put it into the basket, I want you to allow that vision to then blossom into your vision for this spiritual community.